War Thunder is an online vehicle-based MMO and it's free to play. But could playing War Thunder have other consequences? A recent thread on the game's subreddit claims that the US government is asking prospective hires at arms manufacturers whether or not they play War Thunder. Yeah, it seems too crazy to be true, right? There's no way it's actually real, right? The muzzle velocity of a Chinese tungsten cord sabot round might be a closely guarded state secret, but it's no secret that subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and ringing that notification bell are great ways to help support our channel. So War Thunder is a game that just can't stay out of the news. That's because the users for this game are so dedicated that when they want to see a balance change, they bring receipts. Most recently, this took the form of a leak involving the actual real-life F16 multi-role fighter aircraft and AIM-120 air-to-air missile. We're talking technical details of both real-life military systems leaked in a public forum by users. But first, let's just briefly explain the game. War Thunder is an online vehicle-based game where you're able to play as vehicles from basically a whole century of history, and there's a battle tier which sort of limits the top level of vehicles that could be in any one match. Like if you want to, you can fly a biplane against a jet fighter, but only if you enter a game where you know there will be jets based on the battle tier and you choose the biplane. I did play the game a long time ago and it was pretty fun, but I quit like just after they added tanks. I think my favorite thing was flying some of the weirder aircraft that they put in the game. But here's the kicker. There aren't other games like War Thunder, like not really. So the fans here can't just like pack up and go to a competitor because there really aren't other games that are exactly like War Thunder. It's pretty singular, honestly. But what that means is that War Thunder fans are dedicated to improving their game, whatever that takes. That F16 leak I mentioned happened about a week ago, and they posted some technical manuals that, frankly, they shouldn't have. Were they, strictly speaking, classified? No, but this happens so often now that Gaijin Entertainment, the game's developer, pretty much just has to remove these things unless they have clear proof that this information is publicly available. And so in the case of these specific documents, they are apparently still restricted and additionally labeled export controlled and DoD only, as well as distribution authorized to US government agencies only. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the War Thunder forums qualify as a US government agency. But this is just the most recent time. I'm gonna quickly blow through the other incidents for you right now. A few days after the F16 AIM-120 incident I mentioned earlier, someone posted over a dozen weapon system manuals for the F-15E Strike Eagle fighter aircraft. In July 2021, a user leaked information about the UK's Challenger 2 main battle tank, and the Ministry of Defense confirmed to Gaijin that the documents were not supposed to be public. In October 2021, a former member of the French military shared documents that showed the turret rotation speed of the Leclerc main battle tank as modeled in the game was not accurate. In June 2022, someone leaked technical specifications for a Chinese armor-piercing sabot round, the DTC-10 125mm APF SDS. This was information that was classified in China, and the system itself is actually pretty interesting. I have seen evidence that there are other leaks that I haven't been able to confirm, like one involving the Eurocopter Tiger helicopter, but I'm willing to believe that it happened because, well, it just keeps happening. So 2 questions. First off, how dangerous is this behavior? Of course, the country in question, the level of classification, these all come into play. But in the case of the Challenger 2 main battle tank that I mentioned earlier, the UK's Ministry of Defense confirmed, yeah, these aren't supposed to be public, and that under the Official Secrets Act, there would be potentially a 14-year sentence for making them public. Secondly, who are these leakers who are just posting sensitive military documents to a video game's public forum? Well, in some cases, it seems as if they're former military personnel who actually worked on these platforms in some way. But at the end of the day, they're posting on a forum where they're using a pseudonym. I'm sure if the developer really wanted to find out your name and you gave it to them, they can, and they might even provide that to a law enforcement agency if they are asked to do so. It doesn't feel like this is some kind of coordinated effort by a small group. Instead, it's people who really just like War Thunder and will do anything to get the balance changes they want. At the same time, it seems like some of these people thought that the documents they were posting were declassified, and in some cases, like I said, they were actually declassified, but Gaijin does have to remove these things without evidence that they are okay to publicly post, and in some cases, just because they're declassified, like I said, doesn't mean they don't have some other kind of restriction on their publication. It's classified isn't the only thing that people put on documents to be like, don't publish this. And all of this is despite the fact that the developer says that the vehicles in the game are based on publicly available information, which means that even if you figure out that the muzzle velocity of a Type 99 is wrong, they're not going to use classified information to make that change. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, could playing War Thunder affect your job prospects? Well, a recent thread on the game's subreddit makes exactly that claim. A Reddit user claimed that an investigator contacted them to complete a background check for their friend who was applying to Raytheon, an arms manufacturer. They said that the investigator asked them whether their friend played War Thunder. I was suspicious though. Beyond the general concept, which does seem pretty wild, they named Raytheon as the company, and Raytheon currently produces the AIM-120 missile, which was part of that F16 leak that I talked about. So if I was going to make something up, I probably would have picked Raytheon. So I reached out to Raytheon for confirmation, and I got a hold of Chris Johnson, the Senior Director of Global Media Relations at the company. He told me after checking in with some other people that, quote, "As I expected, we only look at a person's education, employment, and criminal history when hiring. We've never looked into a person's video game habits. That being said, if the person needed a security clearance from a US government agency, the government agency itself would conduct a background check. That's not something we have any insight into, and we wouldn't know what types of questions they ask. Still, a question about video games seems pretty unlikely. Hope that helps." While it's great to hear that Raytheon doesn't care if you play War Thunder, the response meant that it was theoretically possible that a US government agency would ask about it. So I did the only reasonable thing that someone in my position would do, and I sent an email to the Pentagon. But in the end, it was all a waste of time. Well, I got to tell my coworkers I was asking the Pentagon about a video game, so that was pretty cool, but yeah, it didn't pan out. Because when I logged on to write about this thing, the guy had already admitted that the post was fake, and honestly, I wasn't that surprised. I don't know exactly how many people play War Thunder now, but if you're asking me, there are probably a lot bigger risk factors for divulging state secrets than playing this video game. You know, stuff like having huge personal debts, posting on Facebook about how the revolution is coming and you can't stop the storm, and, you know, pouring milk in your cereal bowl before you put the cereal in. These are the kinds of things that make me suspicious. As far as I've seen, there's been no direct legal action taken regarding any of these leaks, but if War Thunder fans continue to treat their forum like a dead drop, then, well, it could happen. And that fake Reddit post is built around a kernel of truth, like most lies. War Thunder players are clearly a different breed, and that reputation is starting to spread. War Thunder was always fun back when I played it, and it sounds like they've continued to develop the game and add lots of cool stuff. But folks, trust me, a 5% increase to armor piercing is not worth being brought up on espionage charges. So like anytime I wear this sweater, it has this like collar at the back, and I think you're supposed to like fold it over. But whenever I have it, I pretend I'm like the dude from Utapau that Obi-Wan goes to see, and he's like looking for General Grievous, and he's like, "If you have warriors,
now is the time."
And then the Utapau guy is like, you know, and then he just goes, he's like, just 5. Anyways, I don't know. Anytime I put this sweater on, that's what I think about.